I'm Fredrik Leilani, and I'm the filmmaker.
And I'm Leilani Farha, and I'm the advocate.
Hello, advocates. This is Pushback Talk, and this is our, the way of us keeping alive, putting words to each other, and we call it word food. Are you ready?
Oh, dear.
I will give you a word, a name, Greta.
Oh, Greta. Everyone loves Greta. Well, not everyone loves Greta.
Not everyone loves Greta.
Greta Thunberg. So she's just amazing. Although I haven't seen her recently on my social media. I'm not sure why. The algorithm isn't funneling her to me.
Probably.
I'm not sure why. So Greta, I mean, she's an extraordinary young activist with a very clear set of values and morals. And she's doing everything she can to make change in this world and to bring us along with her. She doesn't do these things alone. She works collaboratively, and it's been really interesting to watch her, from my perspective, go from climate to incorporate in her advocacy Palestine in a really meaningful way. She's studied, she's learned, I don't think she knew a lot about Palestine before October 2023, but she knew that she had a moral obligation in light of her platform, in light of her following, and her ability to speak truth to power. She had an obligation in the face of a genocide, and she's using it. Amazing. She went on one of those flotillas. That takes a lot of courage. And yeah, she's just an extraordinary human being.
Yeah. I actually wrote an article for a Swedish newspaper. They asked me, because I've been tweeting that I loved Greta. And then I wrote a story about why I loved Greta.
Ah, nice.
And I started to follow her when she just started to sit outside the parliament in Stockholm, when she was really young. Now she's 23. She was then maybe 15 or something. And it's amazing to see how this stubbornness, how it works, and how she managed to kind of formulate the emotions of a whole generation. Because I've been reading, surveys saying that 70% of all young people under 15 have, regular stomach problems because of the climate. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I mean, there's a big part of the young generation have pain because, the climate angst. And I think she managed to make that into, yes, we can do something. We can, and it's interesting. I mean, very early, a lot of people started to hate her, and and she got that counter campaigns, and she's always been handling that criticism in a very eloquent way. She never goes into being stupid or vulgar. She's always smart and sharp. And it's interesting to see how difficult it is for people to get to her, to take her down.
It's amazing. She never allows herself in a media interview or in her comments to take the bait, as they say. So people will try to draw her or attack her personally. And her ability to stay completely devoted to the moral argument that she makes. And I mean, she really speaks from a place of values, morality, humanity. She just sticks to that. It's amazing. And we can all learn from that to not take the bait. I think Francesca Albanese is another one who never takes the bait. But yes.
She's also a hero. No, but the really cool thing with Greta is her age. And
absolutely.
The way she's been able to inspire a whole generation. Of course, there's been some, the German Friday for Future movement got a problem when Greta went out pro-Palestinian. So, of course, but the cool thing is that Greta never took any fight with them. She just did, I'm doing this, you do yours. This is me. This is where it's like, you could easily say that when she went out to speak for the Palestinians, that she was taking a risk, of losing her following. And in some ways she did. But I think that moral compass is so impressive and brave. And I wish we had more people like Greta. But I think she is an inspiration to a lot of people. And she's also a part of the light in the dark days, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's cool.
No, she's super cool. And that issue of, you know, what she risked by taking on Palestine. I was re-listening to a speech by a poet who won the National Book Award for Poetry, a Palestinian woman, Lina Tufaha. And she said in her speech that the only way we'll make change is if human beings show up and are willing to risk something, willing to risk an opportunity, willing to risk fame, a limelight, whatever. That's almost a requirement. If we allow ourselves comfort and opportunity, then we will just be eaten by the system, basically.
Yeah.
And I think Greta knows that on an instinctual level. And it does show that she understands what's required to make change, to me. I mean, yeah.
And we should also remember because you opened and said, I haven't really seen her for a while. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that she's not out there doing stuff.
No.
So it's like, to be seen, and that should go for all of us, that we are not seen all the time when we do important stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And because sometimes it's the algorithms who decides if we're seen or not, you know?
Yes, and sometimes we're doing other work, quiet work behind the scenes.
Also, but she is constantly, over here in Sweden, she's also constantly out being arrested, being out in a lot of different action, around Europe also.
Yeah.
So she was also in London being arrested for Palestine action, you know?
Yeah,
so, I mean,
I remember.
She is out there. But this is not only about Greta Thunberg. I think it's a shout out to all Gretas out there that we love you and we need you.
100%.
100%.
Well, I think a good word to go with Greta might be, are you ready for it?
Je suis prête. Estoy listo.
Empathy.
Empathy. For the devil? No.
That's sympathy. Who sang that song?
Empathy for the devil. That's how my brain works today. Poor devil. Poor fucking devil.
Isn't there a song, Sympathy for the Devil?
There is. That's the Rolling Stones, yeah.
Yeah.
Empathy. I think empathy is extremely important. As something we need to carry with us all the time. It can be difficult because sometimes people that we should feel empathy for are like acting in a stupid way or, you know, not being smart or whatever. So, but as the right wing or the fascist forces, whatever we call them, name them, they are so making a thing of not having any mercy or any empathy. And I think that's so interesting. I mean, all this eyes going after immigrants and painting immigrants as pedophiles or they are murderers or all this language that comes from the Trump side. It's poisonous language. And it's also language and actions that so easily destroys a dream or a life. I mean, also here in Sweden, we have now stricter immigration laws and people get expelled from the country, you know, kids who've been studying and were living her whole life here. And these systems, the new models to kick out people are designed not really to change anything. They are designed to send the signal that we are the tough guys. But they are without any empathy. It's brutality as a sign, you know, to show we are tough, we can do this. And in the bottom of that is there is no mercy, there is no empathy. Because I can understand that there might be some need of if not all countries are open, it's very hard for one country to be totally open. I mean, I can understand that there are levels that you need to find a way to handle. But I think that every human being has a right to dream and to seek luck, you know? And people all over human history has been seeking luck, you know, seeking a better future. And remember all the white guys out there in the US and Canada are people who left Europe once upon a time. Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine or Russia or in Europe, or religious minorities from Britain, or or the Irish who were starved by the British, or all this. I mean, and Sweden, 1/3 of our population in the end of the 1800s left during 30 years. 1/3 of the Swedish population went to the US. And that's Minnesota, that's Illinois. They're full of Swedes. So we've all, I mean, that dream is a part of what the US is. And then suddenly now denying other people that dream. It's like, it's horrible. Yeah. It's horrible.
I do think it can be hard to have empathy all the time. As you say, some people's experiences are so completely remote from ours. Their perspective is so completely different from ours. As someone who's traveled the world, I've, like you, encountered cultures that don't always jibe with me, or, that I can't completely understand. I always wonder whether, as a human rights lawyer, we don't talk so much about empathy, although, of course, a large part of being able to be a successful human rights lawyer and to believe in that word we talked about in a previous episode, universality, you have to sort of have some level of empathy. But I try to just think about the world as the human family, which is a human rights concept, that we're all part of the human family, so that I don't even need to necessarily totally get how someone's feeling or understand their perspective or thoughts or relate to them. But just by virtue of us all being part of the human family, we owe each other something, which is dignity, respect, kindness, etc. Because I think empathy can be a hard sell, especially right now where people are so atomized, individual, the me, myself, and I phone, the me, myself, and iPhone world, where everyone is just so in their own zone, and to get to empathy might be really hard. But come on, like the idea of the human family, I don't know, it seems so
empathy
easy to
for
me.
The devil. This is what we are talking about. And maybe that's an interesting thing to try, because then you also need to have empathy for the killers.
Sure. Sometimes I do try to imagine, maybe not killers, but I do, I'm so engaged in Palestine, and it is important to try to understand. I have a couple of Israeli friends who work with Palestinians. I try to understand a little bit. But at the end of the day, I do have to just say, okay, well, we are part of the human family. I don't think I can go deep and dark, like to understand darkness too much. I don't really want to. Or like these ICE, I think about that sometimes because it's so in our face here in Canada, because we're giving the ICE people some of their trucks and things like that here in Canada. And so ICE is really prominent. And of course, the US is just south of us. So I try to think of these like ICE guys going around and like terrifying people. Yeah. I don't know. I can't do it, but.
And a lot of these guys are recruited from neo-Nazi groups like Proud Boys and so on. So of course, these are guys who suddenly, for them, is Christmas Eve, to legally go out and do what they did in the darkness before.
But in some ways, human rights is so lovely because it protects me from having to be too empathetic, because like we have, what is a violation of human rights and what is a criminal act under international law. And so I can kind of cordon off some people Oh, well, they're committing war crimes, or they're committing crimes against humanity, or I don't have to think too much about them. No, but Fredrik, in my work, one of the things I'm constantly up against is the maltreatment of people living in homelessness, experiencing homelessness. And it's very hard for other people to have empathy for a homeless person when we live in a world that says that homeless person caused their own homelessness, and that they're lazy, they're criminals, they're drug addicts, they're scary, they're human traffickers, like all these things. To then have people feel empathy is very difficult.
It's also when people smell and shout and are on drugs.
Absolutely.
It's
alienating.
It's not nice to be in it. So also through your work, I understand better to kind of handle my own feelings around them, because it is when people suddenly become half humans, half animal. That's the way you give yourself the right to just kick them out or kill them or do whatever you can do. That's where the empathy comes in, and this is also a place where the religious communities are doing a great work, and there are people who really care and do it. I was recently in Paris, and you can see that in New York or wherever you go, you see outside the churches, people are standing with food packages.
Yeah.
And we should admire that work, because these people, they show values.
Yeah. Thanks, Fredrik.
And to friends, if you want to support the podcast, send us some money on Patreon. It's not bad. Patreon.com, Pushback Talks. See you.
See you.
Pushback Talks is produced by WG Film. To support the podcast, become a patron by going to patreon.com/pushbacktalks. Follow us on social media at make_the_shift and push_the_film. Or check out our websites, maketheshift.org, pushthefilm.com, or breakingsocialfilm.com.